Hello and welcome to the DJ Force 10 in Conversation podcast, episode 160. And my very special guest on today's show is Frank from the band Emmure. They are about to release a brand new album on Sharptone Records on Friday. And it's great. I'm really enjoying it. I actually got to get a preview copy to listen to. And I've been listening to it quite solidly since. The album's called Hindsight, and like I said, it is out on Friday, but do check it out. If you've been a fan of the band, then you'll love it. And if anyone's sort of in any way kind of curious about it, they've got 4 songs out now. Got Uncontrollable Descent, Pig's Ear, Gypsy Disco, and I've Seen God. 4 tracks from the album. That really does give you a great kind of taster for the whole thing. And it was a great chat to have with Frank. I've been a fan, like a lot of my sort of podcasts, I've been a fan of the band for a while, and it just falls into place that they've got promotions going on, and obviously lockdown and stuff like that. But speaking of lockdown, this kind of signals. Well, this is the one after my sort of lockdown run, I suppose, because it's not come out on that Monday. But yeah, over the quarantine season, as I like to call it, I think I've recorded and released 55 podcasts, which is absolutely fantastic. It includes my first ever sort of live video podcast I did with Mike and Ming. So a big shout out to them and the Shared Universe. They're back open now over in Jersey. So if you're over in the States and you want to record a podcast and you haven't got the equipment, they're a great place to hit up and get that sorted. I've had my interviews featured on sites like Blabbermouth, which has given mass exposure to the podcast as well. So big shout out to the people at Blabbermouth sort of keeping an eye and actually listening through the interviews and obviously picking out bits of news that they can share with the likes of with whoever subscribes to them. But Lamb of God's interview featured on there, Pop Evil's interview on there, before the lockdown, Sepultura, actually that one got massive hits on my YouTube channel. But I've gained, as far as I can see from the stats, over 1,500 listeners on various platforms. So thank you and welcome if you're still sticking around. It's awesome. The streams have gone up like 500% or something. Downloads up 200%. All these statistics have been absolutely manic in my eyes. Finally started my DJ series, which I've been wanting to do for a while, and we just had DJ Cuba on Friday. Trying to line up this Friday's one at the moment, and that's going well on that front. I've crossed off a few of my want to interview list, which has also been amazing this time. Is sort of taking full advantage of them being at home, but the fact that they actually wanted to talk to me for over 10 minutes or 20 minutes or even like a full hour and a half for some of them was absolutely amazing. I spoke to many people around the world as well. I think I totted up like 11 or 12 different countries. Talked more on mental health subjects as well, which is an aim of mine that I had, and that came to fruition with a lot of the interviews that we did, kind of really opening up, especially this time. It's very tough on everyone, and it sort of came a bit easier than it would normally. And that's 104 episodes, on episode 104 it started, which was Don Jameson, and onwards from there we had, I'm not going to rattle off all the names, but I'll do a big shout out online to everyone on there. But just like looking at it, 55 episodes, absolute madness, especially over the space of 3 months. And there were long interviews as well. They're not really short. The shortest one I think I did was, I think it was 12 minutes, and that was just a straight up promo shot. But most of them have been at least half an hour plus long. And it's been absolutely amazing. I just want to thank everyone for downloading and listening and letting me be a part of your lockdown experience. But what does the future hold? I hear you say. Well, no, you don't. But the podcast will continue. Like I say, it's just going to be not as frequent, so probably once or twice a week. And then the DJ specials once I've got those interviews done. And as for this radio show, that's being replaced with Crossing the Streams. So I'm bringing that back. So I'm back into mixing music. It's what I've been doing now, sort of like in my spare time, just sort of brushing up on my mixing. Because I intend to sort of do basically live mixes, or I should say record live mixes, and then they air on Sunday 6 p.m. on Total Rock, starting the 5th of July. Got to get these dates right. It's madness. My brain is all over the place right now. But yeah, I just want to give a lot of love and thanks to everyone. That's all, really. And yeah, like I said, I'll do a big shout out online, kind of totting everything up and whatnot. But for now, I'm going to give you Frank from Emmure. Enjoy. So on my show today, I have a very special guest. I have Frank from the band Emmure. Welcome, Frank.
Hey there.
How you doing, man?
I'm alive, buddy.
You're alive. Just about. I just started back at work and I'm absolutely fucking knackered. And it's crazy out there. So, yeah. Yeah, we're here to talk about your band's new album today. It's called Hindsight. It's out on the 26th of June via Sharptone. And yeah, I've actually heard the album, and I really, really like it. Yeah, I mean, from the sort of singles that you've put out, this is just for the people that haven't heard it. Do you think that was do you think that was a good sort of like sampler of the album?
I hope so. I mean, that's obviously the intention when we're starting to pick out singles for people to hear. We want people to get excited about the record, and hopefully the things that we're able to kind of, give a little sneak peek of, get people excited enough to check out the entire thing when it all is said and done. So, yeah, I mean, the record has so many different, feelings and, ideas on it that it's not any song is comparable to the other. Every single track, I think, is kind of stand out.
Yeah.
And has its own personality. So, yeah, I mean, if people enjoy anything that happens, then, there might be something else in the record that they're able to take away from. Yeah, I don't know. It's I guess it's all a big gamble, you know what I'm saying, at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like I said, I've heard the entire album just through getting a stream of a sample of it, and it's just amazing. I love, I'm of the sort of new metal era. Like when I was sort of in my sort of late teens, early 20s, that was when that was huge. So Korn, Biscuit, I'm trying to think of other bands from that time, Deftones, things like that. You seem to cover a lot of those styles. Was that the same for you?
Well, yeah, I mean, I am a fan of those bands you mentioned. I pull influence from all different kinds of places. I think that I definitely pull from major influences like you mentioned, like Korn and Limp Bizkit and stuff, and there's just so many other bands that fall into that fold of inspiration. So if Emmure is somehow like a reflection of that era or those bands, then I consider it a compliment.
Excellent. No, I mean, it's, like I say, it like this album in particular, I was just like, I was sat there listening to it, and I was like, yeah, this totally, it kind of took me back to that era when it was like in its sort of rawest form, like in the sort of beginning of that era, if you will, and you've kind of captured that real kind of anger that it had, as well, obviously with your own sort of perspective on it. I was wondering if you could tell us about a couple of the songs, because there was a couple of songs I really enjoyed, like the opening track. I know the acronym is FUN, but I haven't got the song name in front of me, which is really bad.
It's okay.
But no, I fucking loved it because it had it's got a bit of DJ scratching in it, stuff like that, which is something that I'm a turntablist, so it really the opening track just jumped at me. What's it called? Finally Understanding Nothing. There we go. Found it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was just wondering what, throwing that, that sort of element into there, did you actually get a DJ in, or was it more sort of process sort of stuff?
Oh, no, that's a process thing that my producer Drew, he's like a mastermind when it comes to adding those kind of extra layers and lead instruments and kind of taking into that space. So that's all his doing. yeah, it's definitely an afterthought. You know, we're just kind of like building the songs as we go along, and then we feel like something would make sense there. But no, there's no DJ in the band, so unfortunately we don't have anyone to perform that kind of stuff. So.
Oh no, that's no worries. I kind of figured that was the sort of case, but no, I just like that sort of element in, because back in the day I was in a new metal band myself in the UK, and I was the DJ in that band, so.
Oh, nice.
I kind of fall into that bracket, and I always have an affinity for bands that either use that kind of sound or even have a DJ in there, which is very rare these days, have a DJ in their ranks.
Well, now you got to send me a YouTube link or something so I can hear your band. Oh, now I'm curious.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, don't worry. I'll send it to you. Yeah, we've got a couple of bits up and out. We've got a couple of albums out as well. This was back in like early 2000 and stuff, so
yeah.
I don't know if it's aged well or not. We'll find out. But no, I just like there's a couple of tracks on there. I think Thundermouth, was another one of my favourites. Which is a bit more later on in the album. And you cover so many different sort of styles with it as well. And like you say, each song kind of stands out as its own entity. Was that a predetermined kind of thing when you came to sort of like putting together an album, that you wanted each song to have its own sort of feel rather than a sort of like not so much a concept, but like a concept running through the whole thing, but just sort of having each song having its own personality, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I'm personally just a fan of that myself. You know, I like putting on an album, and it's a fucking journey. You know what I'm saying? Like every song it takes you to a different place. So there's definitely that kind of conscious decision that like we're writing a bunch of songs, but like if I hear two songs that like sound too familiar to each other, like they kind of give me too much of the same feeling, I'll just pick the one of the two I think is like better. I'm like, all right, well, like this song's really cool, but this song sounds too much like this song, so let's just go with this other track. You know what I'm saying? Let's just go with the one that we already have like this basis for. So yeah, I don't want people to put an album on and then feel like track 8 they're like what song is this? You know what I'm saying? They can't even really follow along. Every song should be like, I know exactly what this is the moment, you know, it starts up, you know? So, I mean, not to say that like, you know, that other people aren't, I think, attempting the same thing, but I think in aggressive music, it kind of becomes sort of like this, like vague, like cloud of sound after a while. Like you don't even know what track is what, like, you know? So I don't want that to ever be the feeling when you listen to an Emmure album. Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, you keep the songs like short as well, which is another thing I noticed. Like before, I sort of like I was getting into a track and it kind of ended. But no, was that another predetermined thing? Because I know obviously a lot of bands, they kind of aim for that kind of like, I know being a musician that it is different for each track, but some people aim for like 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. I mean, you guys, like you're keeping it sort of tight to, I think the longest track you've got is like 3.5 minutes. Yeah. And then you've got a couple of them, you've got one that's even a minute, just over a minute long as well, haven't you? I think I can't remember what it was called. Bastard Ritual, that was it. But like keeping it short, was that sort of like another mentality? Like you just wanted to go kind of like straight to the point rather than structure it in such a way that where you extend it? I mean, I don't really understand like the concept of trying to take something to stretch it out for the sake of like adding more time to something. I don't think that adding time to something makes the song better. I think that generally, as long as an idea is accomplished and a feeling has been successfully gotten across, then the song is done. Yeah. You know, that's just my approach in general. You know, you can listen to bands like Minor Threat, you know, a lot of like early hardcore bands, punk bands, and their songs all pretty much end at the 2-minute mark. Yeah. And so it's all about just kind of getting out the idea, the aggression, the feeling, and you know, having the fans decide whether or not they're going to press replay. You know what I'm saying? I don't really worry about too much like about it not being this length or that length, whatever. And it's funny that I've had this conversation way more often recently, or that it's been more of a topic when people discuss the new material. And I find it fascinating because it seems to be only in like the hardcore metal realm or like aggressive music realm where people even have that kind of comment. But like you look at a song, like I don't know if you're familiar with the rapper Lil Nas X. Yep. So he has a song called Panini. The song is maybe at most 2 minutes and 10 seconds long, but you don't see anyone talking about why is the song longer, why is this, why, how come it's only 2 minutes? Like, no one ever even utters it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it is about aggressive music that people have this weird, it's almost like people are looking for something to criticize about it or analyze. And if people think it's too short, I just consider that to be a good thing. That just means that you heard something that you wish you could have more of, and it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
So that's just my approach in general. I don't really care about other people's like expectations of what a song should or shouldn't be, as long as I think the emotion has been successfully achieved and the energy has been delivered, then the song is done, you know?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, I'm from the sort of like hardcore background as well. That was a big sort of part of my sort of like teenage years, if you will. And yeah, like you say, it's like just I like that kind of like straight to the point. There's a lot of songs that I can listen to that kind of have that. They wander around the point a bit. Obviously, you know, to stretch it out, extend the hook, if you will. But no, with your album, I mean, there are hooks in there, and it makes you want to play it again. That's what it does. Like I hear a track, I'm getting into it, and then obviously it's finished, but I just hit replay. And I've hit that stream quite a few times since I got it, so it's doing the trick.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that part isn't too like premeditated. It's not like I'm like I you know, we make albums and go, oh yeah, people are gonna replay that. It's more just like we just make it and we listen to it, and if it feels good to listen to, then we keep it moving. Like, all right, cool, next song. Like, not even like, oh, that song that felt really good, but like there should be more. It's more just like, no, like it felt good to listen to that. And usually when we add more to it or we try to inject things into it, it starts to take away from the actual feeling that we initially had. So in my opinion, sometimes less is more. Yeah. But I think that the reason we get away with that is generally because I don't have any, again, reservations about making something shorter. Like, it doesn't bother me at all on a creative level, you know? Yeah. I think that maybe like a I don't know, an average musician or guitar player or anybody like that would be like, but I have 100 more ideas. It's like, yeah, but that one idea is the best idea. Yeah. You know, that's the best one. So let's just do that. And I'm a big believer in having that mindset.
No, that's really cool. That's really cool. That's good to hear. How have you found, I mean, I've asked a few musicians this, but how have you found, like promoting an album during this time? Because a lot of people have like postponed things and, some people haven't, some people have kept it going. But you know, what have you kind of done during this time to sort of keep the momentum up, if you will?
I mean, Emmure is a band. We make music. We're entertainment, you know, like that's our thing. We're not going to ever deviate from that. Yeah. So it's not like anything that happens in the world is going to make us adjust our business model, which again is just to entertain people, create something that fans can enjoy, and give some noise or some, you know, some distraction or whatever you want to describe it as to the world as it is, you know, which is, you know, I think the best part about music is that we're offering an escape. In a way. Yep. So, yeah, I mean, I know obviously the world is kind of like in this sensitive place right now, and we're all dealing with all kinds of health issues, social issues, political issues. Yeah. There's so much shit going on, but you know, to be steadfast and all of that is the most important thing. So for Emmure as an entity, we're just still doing what we've always been doing, you know, like obviously change of plans. We can't be on the road and stuff. So since we can't do that, we're just going to continue to, you know, adapt to the situation. Yeah. That's what we're doing. No, I mean, that's why I really like that answer, because I've always maintained that when I was in a band and things like that, I've always kind of maintained like that mentality that I'm an entertainer. And that as much as like, you know, you kind of get stuck with, like you get to a point where you have a big song and you constantly have to play that big song. To sort of remind myself, I had to sort of like, we had a song that everyone wanted to hear every time. We got bored out of it. But, you know, once you play it, it's not for us. You know, it's when you're playing a show, you're playing to these other people, you're entertaining them, you're the entertainment. And that's where I don't hear enough of that in the music industry. I know it's an art form, right. And you know, people have got to express their art, and sometimes, you know, you do get that kind of like, you want to express your new art, you want your new art to be as popular as your old art, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. You always go back to the classics.
and a lot of bands have obviously, had that go through that point. But like I say, I've always kind of maintained that kind of like, whenever I get into that mindset, it's like, I'm an entertainer, and that's what they want to hear. It's not, they're not here necessarily to hear, what I want them to hear, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, there's always that kind of like attitude you have to have where you're offering a service.
Yeah,
like and these people, they're paying money to get that level of enjoyment that they expect from you. And if it's hearing that one song from your discography, you better play it. You can play your other 10 songs that you want to play, but why people are there. You better give them that one thing, So it's kind of like a blessing to have any success like that. If you have one grand song, if you're a one-hit wonder band, go play your other 20 songs that no one likes, but then make sure you play that one song, because it's as long as you play that one song, everyone's going to leave happy. So yeah, I mean, to me, I think it as a net positive. Like if people are only drawn to one particular album, that's fine. Come see us live. You're probably going to hear one of those songs, and that's what's good about having a discography like Emmure has, is that we could decide at any point, like, all right, we're just going to focus on these, this section of our discography for now, or play these songs or whatever. And, you're always going to get people who are like, oh, you didn't get to that one song I like. But like, obviously it's like, you got to understand that truly, no matter what, end of the day, you're not going to please everybody. But if you have a way to somehow get everyone excited about one point of the set, it's a one song, then I consider it a net positive, because as long as people are stoked, then that's all that really matters. And I don't know if I'm extrapolating too far on the concept with you, but.
No, it's fine. Basically, I take the same mentality because I DJ rock clubs here in the UK. So, there's certain points in the night, like early in the night, I can get away with playing new stuff, people haven't heard yet, or, stuff I want to kind of put out there. But then later on, once people have had a few drinks, and they want the classics, they want Enter Sandman, they want Disturbed, they want, they want Korn, they want Limp Bizkit, all from 20 years ago now.
Yeah. Music is very much a time and place, and everyone is attached to it in that way, where when you hear something, it's going to bring you back a particular place and feeling, and give you an emotion that you can't get any other way except re-entering that space, via the music. So I'm a fan too, so I totally understand the whole fan mentality,
Yeah. Cool. Well, I've got a couple of questions left for you, Frank, if that's all right, and then I'll let you get on with the rest of your day. These are sort of my generic sort of questions, if you will, but I ask everyone this in that sense. But what I want to find out are your three most pivotal albums that have kind of shaped the person or the musician that you are today. So the one that kind of made you want to pick up a microphone, the one that made you want to make music. What are those? If you can narrow it down, what are those three albums?
That would be Limp Bizkit, $3 Bill Y'all.
Nice.
Hatebreed, Satisfaction is a Death Desire. And then the last one would probably be, an easy answer is just to say Life is Peachy by Korn. That's the last one. I would say those three albums are like the headstones of everything I've ever done in my life. So those are major influences.
No, that's really cool. It's the first time I've heard the Hatebreed for one, in these sort of choices, which is great because I love Hatebreed. Big fan of those. Limp Bizkit, the $3 Bill Y'all, that's another one because it's their like first album. Not a lot of like, everyone sort of got on the sort of Chocolate Starfish sort of significant other run that they did, but no one, like, a lot of people overlook that first album, but it's got some fucking great tracks on that.
I mean, I consider it to be a masterpiece album.
Yeah, it's great. And and then Life is Peachy by Korn, a great album. Absolutely. I mean, I love Korn since I saw them way back in, I think it was like 96, I think it was, in England, like early on when they had their first album out and stuff. It was great. Life is Peachy is an absolute fucking great album. Awesome. Finally, man, what are your hobbies away from music? So when you're not doing Emmure things, when you're not writing, producing, what do you kind of what do you do to sort of get away from it?
I mean, there's nothing really very extreme about my lifestyle. You know, I'm on YouTube, or I'm writing, or I'm listening to music and reading, or, you know, doing something that, you know, keeps my brain occupied pretty much. I was trying to experiment with some new hobbies. Like, I was getting into training in Muay Thai kickboxing, but ever since the pandemic hit, I've had no chance to train. So that was kind of bum out. But yeah, I mean, my life is not too different. Just keep myself preoccupied and try to like stay creative and constantly write and just kind of like get myself prepared for whatever the future may hold, you know.
Okay, cool. No, that's absolutely fine, man. That's all good. Well, thank you for your time. I do really appreciate it, because, like I say, I'm a fan, and I'm really like this new album is great. I'm gonna pick it up when it comes out. So I actually have it rather than streaming it.
Awesome, thank you.
But yeah, no, I really enjoy it, and thank you very much. I'm going to be playing it at my club as well once everything reopens. There's a couple of tracks on there that will definitely get people dancing, so which is what I always look for. So
yeah, man,
it's gonna be good, man. Good luck with it.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries, man. Well, you have a good rest of your day, and like I said, thank you and good luck.
Thanks, bud. Bye.